Hello, William and Mary, Williamsburg neighbors, partners, and friends. Welcome to our community's first Juneteenth festivities. We mark the anniversary of news of the Emancipation Proclamation reaching Galveston, Texas. In Galveston, Major General Gordon Granger read General Order Number 3, which began, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of rights and rights of property." This news took 2 years to get there. As we recall that delay, this day underscores our nation's ongoing struggle towards the still unfulfilled promise of equality. Juneteenth calls us into shared remembrance and affirms our commitment to equality and justice for all. 2021 is the second year that Juneteenth is officially recognized by our Commonwealth as a state holiday. William and Mary plans to be in person next year. We are so looking forward to that joyful fellowship in the third year of this state holiday. Last month, the university dedicated the Legacy Tribute Garden, honoring our first 3 African American students in residence. And we broke ground on William and Mary's Memorial to the Enslaved, Hearth, where I am currently standing. Hearth will host our future Juneteenth celebrations right here on William and Mary's ancient campus. So many in our community deserve praise for bringing this ceremony together. I want to recognize a number of visionary leaders now. Led by Dr. Sean Glover, William and Mary's Juneteenth Committee began planning this ceremony in 2019. Colonial Williamsburg, the City of Williamsburg, the NAACP, and First Baptist Church have partnered in this celebration. Finally, we are fortunate to have a stellar lineup of performances for today. Warm thanks to all of our artists and our speakers who will share their talents with us. Without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce the Mayor of Williamsburg, Doug Pons. Over to you, Mayor Pons.
Thank you, President Rowe. And on behalf of the City of Williamsburg, it has been an honor to partner with William and Mary, our local chapter of the NAACP, and the First Baptist Church to celebrate Juneteenth in the commemoration of the end of slavery. While our city has much to be proud of in its long history, we must be willing to not only acknowledge the mistakes, but study them, learn from them, and emerge better and more inclusive and more equitable. On June 19, 1865, our work had only just begun. Until we rid ourselves of the unjust and inhumane institution of slavery, we had no chance of living up to the ideals of this country, that all men were created equal, that the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness truly applies to each and every one of us. And 165 years later, we are still hard at work. During today's commemoration, I hope you'll take the time to reflect on our painful past and to be inspired by the possibilities of our future.
In honor of the groundbreaking for the Hearth Memorial to the Enslaved, the Legacy Tribute Garden, and the Sankofa sculpture, all of which bear witness to the sacrifices of those ancestors who dreamed us free when they didn't have time or the right to dream, I pour this libation.
This garden and this memorial will change how we understand our history of race and racism at William and Mary and in this country. It will stand testament to the power of durable change for the future by creating places for learning, for dialogue, and greater understanding.
The Legacy Tribute Garden was conceived by the 50th Commemoration Committee as a permanent manifestation of that commemoration honoring the first 3 African American students in residence who made integration of William and Mary a reality. The sculpture and garden stand as an acknowledgement of the contribution of past and current Black students, faculty, and staff.
Students can't feel truly welcomed when our campus does not accurately represent history. This memorial is a meaningful milestone in acknowledging 170 years of slavery on this campus. But we now have 158 remaining years of recent history to confront.
This hearth will serve as a reminder of the past and a hope for the future, providing a location to gather, discuss, and flourish together, regardless of your race, your religion, or who you choose to love.
Since 2007, William & Mary has been learning and coming to grips with its story, its full story.
The stories that we commemorate at William & Mary are centuries old. And as our partners at First Baptist Church's Let Freedom Ring Foundation remind us, stories that are half told are untold, truly. So many stories are still here all around us, waiting to be heard if we have the language, if we know the signs, if we can, through sustained research and discovery and sustained remembering, bring them back to voice.
We may not know all your names. We may not know all your stories, but this memorial will be a physical reminder of you. And yes, today, we will see you. We will hear you. We will thank you. We will honor you and include you and your greatness in the William and Mary story for all times coming.
While the research continues, we may never know all the names, but known and unknown, these people will live in our hearts and our minds. As we break ground today for Hearth Memorial to the Enslaved, we know that when finished, it will be a permanent structure on campus that will recognize and honor the enslaved who toiled, lived, died, celebrated, mourned, loved, planned, executed, and prayed on this campus. While the past can't be changed, William & Mary recognizes its debt. Now that the institution knows better, it will continue to strive to do better, to make this a place of inclusion for all who study, work, and visit, and it will remember.
William & Mary's vision is to transcend boundaries. We remember those who suffered and the hurdles and barriers that they faced. While striving to eliminate the barriers to flourishing for all, we mark this moment by breaking down a wall. Clear a path in a way that honors our past and our present, and that makes for great neighbors for the future. That is our commitment.
I'm Cliff Fleet, President of the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, and thank you for joining us for today's Juneteenth programming, which we're doing in conjunction with the College of William & Mary, the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation, and the City of Williamsburg, and others across the community. Juneteenth is a very important holiday where we celebrate the end of slavery in the United States. But it's also a day which gives us the opportunity to reflect on the significant contributions of our African American heritage and history and how it shaped us into the nation that we are today. We at the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation have been doing this for many decades. In 2019, we celebrated 40 years of African American history and interpretation in our historic area. But we recognize that there is so much more to do in this space to lead to a more complete and fulsome understanding of our African American heritage and how it has shaped us to who we are today. So in the last year, we've started 2 new projects to better illuminate this important piece of our nation's history. The first is behind me, and this is our archaeological work to uncover and hopefully restore what is likely the nation's oldest Black church founded by Blacks, and this is First Baptist Church. We are doing this work in conjunction with the church, which is very much a thriving congregation in Williamsburg today, and the Let Freedom Ring Foundation, and the College of William & Mary. And our aspiration is to have this site reconstructed in advance of the church's 250th anniversary in 2026. The second project was announced just a few months ago, and that is our work to hopefully restore the Bray School. The Bray School was founded here in Williamsburg in 1760 at the urging of Benjamin Franklin. And what we have identified is the original structure for this school, which makes it the oldest building in the hemisphere used to educate enslaved and free Black children. The restoration of this building and the associated research gives us the opportunity to better understand education and its impact on the development of people, and perhaps the development and formation of the church, which stands behind me today. All of this work is critically important because understanding our past is critical to understand how we got to where we are today and how we can best address the issues and opportunities that are in front of us, and fulfills our mission that the future may learn from the past. Thank you for joining us today.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we'll perform Passacaglia by Handel Halvorsen. Thank you and enjoy.
Fanny, Jenny, Molly, Peggy, Phyllis, Robin, Charlotte, Tom Mask, William, Charlotte, Elizabeth, Ephra, Frank Addison, Frankie,
Lucy, Nanny, Priscilla, Sucky, Frank, Jack, Amy, Isaac B., Lamb, Wilson, Adam, Bob, Nero.
Price, Ben, Glasgow, Margaret, Andrew, Catherine, Elizabeth, James, Molly, Molly's son, William, Belinda, Daniel, Elizabeth,
Joshua, Betty, Daniel, Dick, Effie, Gerald, James, Kate, Lemon, Letty, Lucy, Mass, and Nanny.
Ned, Pompey, Winkfield, Andrew, Molly, Anthony, Frankie, Charles, Marcia, Cato, Lewis, Phil, Edie, Kit.
Annis, Betsy, Harriet, Abram, Peyton, Kennedy, Guthrie, Hunt, Joe, William, John, Greeno, and 107 are unknown.
shall never sound retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea. With a glory in his bosom that transfigured you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free. While God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching
Happy Emancipation Day. Happy Freedom Day to you. I'm Morgan McCoy, and I'm so grateful for William and Mary inviting me to participate in their virtual Juneteenth celebration. Before we get started, I would like to give a special thank you to the fabulous Juneteenth Celebration Committee, specifically the co-chairs, Ms. Glover, as well as Ms. Harris. I want to thank you, as well as my direct point of contact, who's a committee member, Dr. Jody Allen, and every last one of the committee members, because I know it was a lot of moving pieces for us to have this beautiful moment in time. So I want to thank you guys for everything that you did to make this a reality. Also would like to give special acknowledgement to the president of William Mary, Dr. Catherine Rowe. I know she's on the program, and all the other people that are on the program for today. I acknowledge you and I thank you. And most importantly, I would like to thank those that are watching right now. Thank you guys for choosing to set aside part of your day in order to experience this particular show. Now, I would love to be with you in person, but I am grateful for the virtual space that we have where I can invite you to our home studio and onto my stage right here at home. I want to give a special shout out to 12 Gate Films, James Drake, who's handling our audio-visual needs, as well as Donna Ray, who's our stage manager for today, to make sure everything runs smoothly. Now, for you, just to let you know, I am an actress, a filmmaker, an author, motivational speaker. Basically, guys, I'm a storyteller, and I tell stories that elevate and educate and speak to historic truths and inspire audiences. And so the story that I'm going to be sharing with you today is called Evolution of a Black Girl from the Slave House to the White House. I played 12 characters in this show, so we're going to go traveling throughout time. Now, this is a condensed version of the show, so it's 30 minutes versus our hour-long production or our 45-minute production. So typically in the live show or even some of our virtual shows, I'll be talking throughout as I'm transitioning from character to character. But because you all have some amazing things on the program today, this is a shorter version of the show, so I'm going to go from one character to the next character. But I do believe the characters speak for themselves. It's 6 real women, 6 fictional characters. It's all based on history, and I believe that it's a lot that you can receive that will encourage you, motivate you, as well as educate you. So without further ado, I present to you Evolution of a Black Girl from the Slave House to the White House.
I remember the day when my mother told me to fetch some water so Enoch and my father could talk. And I was so happy because I knew that this was the day that Enoch professed his love for me. And this was the day that I would become his wife. So I ran to the water as if I was running on air because I was so happy. But then I heard the warning drums, and the beating was so intense that I ran back to my village as fast as I could. And when I got there was smoke everywhere. I got to my hut and I saw Enoch, and his hands were bound, and his feet were bound, and he looked so scared. And then I looked on the ground and I saw my mother on the ground, and my father on the ground, and there was blood everywhere, and I cried. Then I looked back up at Enoch, and tears streamed down his face, and tears streamed down my face, and he mouthed to me, "I love you." And then this man, who looked like he could have been my brother, raised a strange weapon at me. I closed my eyes and I heard a noise and I felt a piercing in my heart. But when I opened my eyes, I was still here on this earth. But Enoch, he had leaped in front of me. So the piercing I felt in my heart was me till Enoch leave me. He jumped in front of me to save me. They put me on this strange ship and took me to an even stranger land. And they traded me for food. They said that I was now their property, that I was a slave. But you see, I never felt like a slave, because you have to be alive to be a slave. But I died that day with my mother and my father and Enoch in Africa. Guess what? I smart. That's right, I be a smart colored girl. I can read, I can write, even be doing poetry, but you can't tell nobody. That's what my mama say. She just be jealous. She can't read, she can't write, she can't even count. She always be saying I was 10 years old. If I was 10 years old, I was been 10 for 2 years. All she be doing is laying with massa. That's what happened when you pretty and dumb. And if you ugly and dumb, you be out in the fields, and that ain't good neither. But I be like Phyllis Wheatley. You know Phyllis Wheatley? She be the first slave girl to publish a book. Folks everywhere was reading her books. You know, President George Washington asked her master to bring her to meet him. Can you imagine that the President of the United States wanted me to slave girl? Well, if she can meet the president, I can too. But when she became free, she became po, like real po, because ain't nobody want to read her books no more. She became so po that her babies kept on dying, so po that her husband went to jail for being po. And she died when she was 31 years old. Po. I don't want that to happen to me. So I was going, Miss Tubman. She'd be like, Moses, freeing God's people. We're going to go in the woods and follow the stars. But wait, what if Master send the dogs after me and they eat me alive? Or what if there's no water in the woods and I die of thirst? Or what if Miss Tubman realize I can't run fast and she shoot me dead? That ain't going to be good neither. I know. I was going to talk to Master. I was going to say, Master, how you like to meet the President of the United States? All you need is a smart colored girl and eyes to be that smart color. Oh, hey, Master. I was just talking about you. Master says, what you know? I can read, I can write, you be doing poetry. Now, Master, my mammy, she ain't here, but I can help you meet the president. No, Master, I's not pretty like my mammy. She much prettier than me. Master, I's just a little girl. You wouldn't label a little girl, would you? No, Master, I's not 12. My mammy said I was just 10, Master. Master, I was just a little girl. And I'm not like my mammy. I was small.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. Band of angels coming after me. Coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot. Coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot. Coming for to carry me home.
After 400 years of slavery, and they don't want to give us 40 acres and a mule. See, promises were made, but those promises weren't kept. But we's free. How you gonna tell somebody what to do all their lives and then leave them to fend for themselves? They paid us pennies. It was still slave labor. And some of our black men were so used to being sold from their families, they didn't know how to stay home. So it was hard on us, black girls. We would clean somebody else's house all day, come home and have to clean our own, nurse other people's babies, come home and then gotta nurse our own. Wash everybody's clothes, and your clothes can't be funky too. But we did what we had to. You see, we was used to hard work, late nights, disrespect. But we did it for our sons, our daughters, our nieces, our nephews. Because we knew that if one of us made it, we all made it. Let me tell you, child, it was hard. It was real hard. Oh, but some of us made it. Oh, yes, we did.
First African-American female self-made millionaire. The one who created all those great products for your hair. That's what you hear. Orphaned by the age of 7. Married by the age of 14 because my sister's husband was so mean. Widowed by the age of 17. Lonely teenage mother, that was me. Married again, then divorced. This is not the fairy tale story you've heard, of course. Well, maybe you're asking yourself, Madam CJ, it seems like your life was full of despair.
How in the world did you become a millionaire? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's quite simple. I began to lose my hair. And I cried out, Lord, what do I do? A colored woman going bald ain't cool. And I had a dream that I mixed concoctions and my hair grew. I woke up and tried, and my dream came true. All of a sudden, I had this long, healthy mane, and people stopped me down the street and said, hey, sister girl, I want my hair to look the same. I told the friends, neighbors, people I barely knew. My third husband and daughter helped with the business, too. You see, although success was nice, it definitely had a price. I wanted to expand, but my husband thought that my ideas were too grand, and after all, he was the man. We separated. I was not elated with this decision, but I had to pursue my vision. Walker agents sprung up everywhere, teaching people about hair care. Now here I was, a woman without proper education, setting up hair schools across the nation. Rockefeller became my neighbor. You think that caused me to change my behavior? No. I never forgot where I came from and all that my ancestors had done. When I got, I gave. Never forgetting that my grandparents were slaves. Never quite understood that crab mentality thing. Push somebody down to get where I want to be. Not when people died so that I could be free. What I want you to get out of my story, with all of its ups and downs and trials and glories, that nothing was given to me. I remember crying because I didn't have a place for my daughter to play. But I believe there would be a brighter day. Believe in yourself. Don't be afraid to give a brother or a sister some help. And remember, your tragedy may lead to your triumph, just like my hair loss did for me. And yes, it's true. All of you out there do have the power to get well. First, we need a savings bank. Let us put our monies together. Let us use our monies out usury among ourselves and reap the benefits ourselves. Let us have a bank that will take the nickels and turn them into dollars. Maggie Lena Walker, born in 1864, right before the end of the Civil War. I became free, but being black in Richmond at that time was not the best place to be. I experienced trials when my life began, but I continued to stand. Hard work as a laundress was the occupation my mother resorted to. You see, back then, there weren't many things that black women were allowed to do. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but a laundry basket on my head. With the major breadwinner now dead, my mother worked hard and I helped too. But she saved up so that I could go to school. She knew that real emancipation came from a quality education. And I loved to learn. I thought that reading and writing was like riding on the wind. With those tools, you could go anywhere. And I did. At 16, I graduated from high school and I began to teach. I thought I was living my dream. But according to Virginia state law, when I got married, I had to quit teaching traditionally. So I found a different way to climb the education tree. I poured my efforts into the order, which was crumbling due to the lack of funds. And they nominated me to be president. I didn't even have to run. Wife, mother of 2 young sons, and now this, a woman's work was never done. Well, the first set of business goals was to start a newspaper. And not long after that, I became the first female president of a bank. Now, even though the businesses were thriving and going strong, there were some personal things that went wrong. My brother died of TB in his 20s, and my son mistook my husband for a robber, and he accidentally shot and killed his father. And things got harder. Diabetes set in, and I became confined to a wheelchair. And not long after burying my husband, I had to bury my son. Now, most people run, quit.
went in a corner and had a fit, but not me. I had the people to encourage to pursue their dreams. After all, it wasn't about me. It was about the whole community. I did all this before women even had the right to vote. We were trying to get rights, but I had the desire to fight against racism, to fight against sexism, to fight against my disability and all the odds that were stacked against me. What's your excuse? Here in the 21st century, there's so many things you're already allowed to do. But over here, some of y'all talking about the things you can't do. My suggestion is you find the fight in you. The blues, the blues, the blues. I told my mama I wanted to make it in show business, and she told me I was going straight down there. And I said, at least I be going in style. I was young and dumb. See, not all of us was able to start businesses like Madam CJ or become presidents of banks like Maggie Walker. Most of us had to work as nannies or seamstresses, day laborers. Some of us taught, but most of us struggled to make ends meet because after all, you was just a black girl. But if you could sing, dance, smile real pretty, you had a chance to make it in show business. Clean somebody else's house for the rest of my life? Are you kidding me? I'm too cute for hard labor. See, I was going to dazzle crowds like Josephine Baker, sing like Ma Rainey, Mamie Smith, wear furs like Billie Holiday, become a household name like Lena Horne and Pearl Bailey because I had it. Y'all know what it is, right? It is the ability to make white people money. Because if you can make them money, they don't see black. All they saw was green. And I ain't had no problem being a green money-making machine as long as I was getting some of that green. Because, see, music transcends cultures and connects society. But you know the crazy thing is, they would sing my song on the weekends. They didn't even want to shake my hand. You know how hard it is to sing your heart out at a place you can't even sit in or to be escorted at a cafeteria you got enough money to buy. See, we sang from real pain, real love, real loss. Now, some of us used our fame to fight the cause, and others of us resorted to recreational activities to ease the pain. And then I had the nerve to fall in love with my white manager. I realized my problem, see? I was every man's fantasy. But ain't no man want me in his reality. I wanted to start my concert and say, hey, can't you see me? Just because I can sing and dance don't mean I don't bleed or have needs. But don't nobody want to hear a singer talk. All they want you to do is sing. So with a drink in my hand and a smile on my face, but with tears in my eyes, I sang my life. I sang.
blues.
We shall overcome one day. We shall overcome, Lord, one day. Yeah, 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 yeah. If in our heart.
Have you ever been tired? Not tired in your body, just tired of the way things are. Well, on December 1st, I was tired. It's a cold winter day, and I was sitting in the back of the bus like I was supposed to. And the bus began to fill up, and one white male passenger boarded, and there were no seats available in his section. So the bus driver pulled over and commanded that myself and 3 other colored passengers stand so this one white male could have a seat. The other 3 passengers quickly stood, and I remained seated. I felt like if he really wanted a seat, there were now 3 seats perfectly available. But the bus driver still commanded that I stand. Now, I'm not one to usually break the rules, but maybe on that day I thought about that young girl, Reese Taylor, who was gang raped by 6 KKK members, and not one of them spent one night in jail. Or maybe I thought about that poor boy, Emmett Till, who was brutally killed. Or maybe I thought about my mother, who told me when God presents you with an opportunity, you take it. Maybe all those things crossed my mind at the time, but I looked at that bus driver, gave him a very dignified stare, and I said, I don't think I should have to stand. I was arrested, got let out on bail, and after that, a couple of members of the NAACP had a meeting and decided that following Monday we would all boycott the bus. We would walk, carpool, miss work or school if need be, because the power was in unity. It rained on that Monday. Some had to walk 15 miles in the rain, but not one of us got on that bus. I hear nowadays if it rains on a Sunday, y'all won't even go to church. Glad we're not depending on you all for the movement. After that, there was a young preacher boy by the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who began to lead the bus boycott. And for 381 days, not one of us got on that bus. Oh, and we won that battle. There were many more battles to fight, but one good win is enough to keep a warrior fighting. I was fired from my job. My husband was forced to quit his, and we ended up leaving Alabama. You see, when you make the right decision, it might not be the most lucrative. You might not get the applause you think you deserve. But it's something about knowing that when you stand before God and the people your decisions affect the most, knowing you did the right thing. And I know it. I did the right thing.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose
Now, many of you know my husband, and even my children too. But now many of you know my story, so I'm going to tell it to you. On April 27, 1927, a queen was born in Alabama, and that queen was me. See, my siblings didn't quite understand how I could be a queen. They said, you got to scrub the floors and pick the cotton just like us. And it ain't like we had a lot of money, being that my daddy worked on a farm and my mama drove a bus. But still, I declared that I was a queen. Now, since I was a queen, I played the piano, trumpet, violin, and sang, too. At the top of my class, being that a queen can't be no fool. I was raised in a well-respected home. My parents taught me that God loved every child, so I would never be alone. But as I got on to my college years, I was discriminated against due to the color of my skin. But I didn't let that stop my effervescent personality, no. I simply protested, and I kept on protesting. Then in 1953, this queen met her king. That's right, this queen met and married her king. I bore him 4 children. Saw my 2 girls go from Barbie dolls to pantyhose to their first dates. Saw my sons go from G.I. Joes to preacher's clothes, now they're at their present state. And I kept on protesting. So if someone tells you that I was just the preacher's wife, you say, no, I was a singer, teacher, civil rights leader, and queen. You tell them that I, Coretta Scott King, was the proud wife of Dr. Martin Luther King. I marched with Dr. King, even got arrested for the cause. But the one thing I will never forget is spring of 1965 when I met John Brown's mama. I love me some John Brown. So we met at Hampton Institute and it was getting serious. So over spring break, he decided to take me to meet his family. That's when I met his light, bright, almost white mama. And she looked at me and said, Shirley, you ain't gonna marry that darky. And he didn't. But who needs a man who can't stand up to his mama anyway? So after that experience, I realized we still needed some movement in our civil rights. So I was going to help my people by infiltrating the system from within. Help my people one promotion at a time. So after Hampton, I went to Harvard and I climbed the corporate ladder. But as you know, in any war, there are casualties. So in order to fit in, I had to perm my afro. Yeah. And it was necessary for me to change my attire. And of course, I had to delete all forms of slang from my vocabulary. But you see, I had a mission in mind. Help my people, one promotion at a time. And I don't know what happened, whether it's after I got my 6-figure salary and my shoe collection expanded, but honestly, I forgot there was a mission in the first place. See, I started to like the Data Girls, and I no longer minded being the token in the group. So now, instead of going to those little NAACP meetings I go to, garden parties. And instead of expecting for my white friends to apologize for their racism, I apologize for my race. Because they're right. We'd be much better off of those ignorant black folks that make us educated Negroes look so bad. And when I see someone who looks like Trayvon Martin, I clench my purse. The other day, my son brought a friend home. She's Nigerian. Cute. I served tea and cookies and had casual conversations. You see, I have far too much class to actually say it. Oh, but I thought it. Surely we ain't gonna marry that darky. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I realized I'd been hoodwinked, bamboozled, the wool had been pulled over my eyes, and maybe it was the chemicals from my relaxer. But when I looked at myself, I realized that somehow I had become just like John Brown's mama. I guess I was like in
middle school, and we had to do this Black History project, right? And I didn't know who I was going to do nothing, so I chose to do Shirley Chisholm because she looked like my grandmother. And when I read up on her, I was like, dang, yo, she did mad stuff. Like she was the first woman, the first Black to run for president, even though she ain't winning nothing. I was like, yo, it took her mad guts to even run. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I was a little girl, I was like, I'm going to be like Shirley Chisholm. I'm going to help people out, And I was going to do it, too. And then I was 15 and I got pregnant. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do something for me and my daughter. Like me and her, we're going to do something big. And then I got pregnant again and again. And it was like the harder I tried to get out, like the less assistance I got, like the system was set up to keep me stuck there or something. And I got tired of fighting. I got tired of dreaming. So I stopped. But you ain't got to feel bad for me nothing because I got 3 healthy kids and I got a man. Well, I got a fiance. Well, okay, so y'all know back in the day when Beyonce came out with that song, Put a Ring on It. So I was like, boo, you need to put a ring on it. And he did. We've been engaged for like 10 years. But, I mean, he a good man. He provides. And I just feel like, like he, that's him right now calling me. I feel like, everybody is different. You know what I mean? Like, he take really good care of me, and so we good. And even though I'm not like Shirley Chisholm, I figured my kids, they could be like Shirley Chisholm, especially my daughter, my oldest. She is mad smart. And, like, I plan to teach my kids all that stuff my mama, ain't tell me, like, get a good education, wait to have sex, all that good stuff. But then I realized, like, everything I wanted them to do, I ain't do. And I ain't no hypocrite or nothing, so I just ain't tell them. But I figured, like, they go to school, their principal could be a role model for them, even if I won't. But, my daughter, she came to me and she was like, Ma, I'm pregnant. And I was like, what you mean you're pregnant? You're 13 years old. How are you pregnant? And she looked at me with this stank attitude and was like, I just did what you do. What was I supposed to say to that? Huh? What was I supposed to say? I guess instead of expecting everybody to be an example for my daughter, I needed to be an example for her. I'm 28 years old, and I'm about to be a grandmother. And my baby is having a baby. Thank you so much. Thank you. As all of you know, I am a Black girl, and I have 2 beautiful Black girls. And according to society, I shouldn't be here today. I was brought up in a lower middle income home in Chicago in a 1-bedroom apartment. In fact, I remember when my brother and I had to share our living room quarters as a bedroom. I remember seeing my father wake up in pain due to his sickness, but he woke up to go to work to provide for his family, and my mother would ensure that we had family dinner together every night. You see, although we didn't have much monetarily, there were values instilled in us that no amount of money could buy. According to society, a Black girl, Chicago, 1-bedroom apartment, not much would happen for her. But I went from that 1-bedroom apartment to Princeton. I went from that 1-bedroom apartment to Harvard Law. I went from that one-bedroom apartment to the White House. I went from that one-bedroom apartment to becoming a best-selling author and having my own Netflix TV show. It doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you finish. Don't allow other people's opinions to define you. Who cares what statistics tell you? There's no reason why any of you out here can't go from your one-bedroom apartment situation to the White House and beyond just like me. God bless you, and God bless America. Typically after this particular, it's fine, keep it on. Typically after this character, I would portray myself, and I would tell a story about being a black girl who tried to scrub her skin because in my kindergarten class, I was told that black equated sin. And then I would go on to list a litany of various African American women who've done incredible things. But in November 2020, something happened that changed the trajectory of my show. We saw history made. A beautiful woman of color in her white suit became the first woman, the first African American, the first Asian American to become the Vice President of the United States of America. That moment when I heard her speech, and I heard her tell all of us to dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and don't allow other people's opinions to stop you. When I heard her speak about how she was the daughter of immigrants and was told by her mother to keep the door open, she might be the first in many cases, but to make sure that she was not the last. As I heard her passionate speech and her history shared, she did something that had never been done. She acknowledged that black women were the backbone of this democracy. And in that moment, I thought about my ancestors. Old church mother praying in a pew. A sharecropper trying to figure out what they would do. I thought about my mother and my future children too, and I thought about you, and I thought about me too, and I realized that this world has endless possibilities, and there are so many wonderful things that we can still see. And on this Juneteenth celebration, as I think about my ancestors somewhere in Texas getting that word on June 19th, 1865, the word that they were free. I can imagine those individuals who dealt with years of torture. Would they ever imagine that we would once have a country where this African American, Asian American woman would be elected as our vice president in the vice presidency? This is a day to celebrate. This is a day to commemorate. This is a day to acknowledge what my ancestors went through. And you don't have to be a black girl to appreciate the stories that have been shared in this show. All you have to do is be human, to acknowledge the various trials that these women that I've shared about, and so many more women and men, have overcome. So this day is a day of history. This day is a day to shout victory. And this day is a day for us to remember where we've been, recognize where we are, and decide what we want to do to create a better future going forward. I hope that you've heard something. Again, this was a shorter version of the show, so I wasn't able to talk in between the characters as I normally do. But I believe that these characters speak for themselves. And I hope that you have been encouraged, that you've learned something, that you're motivated, that you research some of these women. And feel free, guys, if you want to ask me any questions about the show. The Q&A session is my favorite part. So if you have some questions, reach out to me via social media or to my website, and I would love to answer any questions about these shows and the characters. But I encourage you to get better every day, and I encourage you to live a life worthy of the sacrifice that have been made by so many men and women. God bless you, and happy Emancipation Day.
This is about a black girl. I am that black girl. This is about a black girl. This is my world.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. Liberty, equality, and freedom are at the very beginning of our national story, but the true meaning is endlessly complicated for me as an African American and for so many other people. Anna Cooper said it best: the cause of freedom is not the cause of a race or a sect, a party or a class. It is the cause of humankind, the very birthright of humanity. Our history tells us that on December 31st, 1862, our ancestors gathered in churches all across the nation to pray, to sing, and to wait for midnight, the moment on January 1st, 1863, when all persons held as slaves in the rebellious states were proclaimed free. The church bells rang to send the message of emancipation. We now know that the sound of those bells, the sound of freedom, was not heard everywhere. It was more than 2 years later, June 19, 1865, that the word reached Texas. Freedom has to look and feel the same to all of us here in America. Until all of us are free, none of us are free. And while we're so excited to have celebrations all over the country for Juneteenth, we have to remain committed to the promises and the ideals of our nation: liberty, equality, and freedom for all of us. I hope that you've enjoyed the program today, a chance to learn and live the story, and to feel and heal while celebrating Juneteenth. The joy of Juneteenth belongs to the whole country. To close today's celebration, we will ring the Freedom Bell at the First Baptist Church tonight, 19 times. We will start this year, and we will do this every year after this on June 19th, so that we're all reminded of the sound of freedom here in Colonial Williamsburg. A very special thanks to Mayor Pons and to our partners, President Catherine Rowe of William & Mary, and CW President and CEO Cliff Fleet. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Let Freedom Ring Foundation, our donors, and our supporters, we thank you.